Live. So good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you're joining us from, everyone. My name is Jesse, and I am with Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants. For those joining us for the first time, we are all about bringing conservation, adventure, and science into classrooms around the world. And we are so thrilled today to be on one of the coolest virtual field trips we have ever done in the history of Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants. But I'll introduce a little bit about what that is in just a minute. Right now, we've got 6 classes joining us from across North America. One more should be set to join in a second, and many more tuning in on YouTube. Hundreds and hundreds of kids from across Canada and the States watching this live, which we are thrilled about. So thank you so much for tuning in. So without further ado, we've got Miss Langer's group, grade 3-4s in Cobourg, Ontario. The entire school's coming in today, so welcome in. Hey! I like the teacher table at the back of the room. Fantastic, guys. We've got Miss Teason's grade 3s in Surrey and BC. Hi, guys. There's so many of you too. Again, packed house. I love it. We've got Miss Belcade's grade 3s in Newton in Massachusetts. Let me just get their mic. Hey! Yeah, crowd her on the camera, break the camera, perfect. You can head back to your desk, I promise. We've got Miss Gary's grade 2s in Woodbury in Connecticut. Hi, guys. Oh, man, the enthusiasm is awesome. You guys love polar bears. We've got Mrs. Calacolio's grade 1s all the way in Honolulu in Hawaii. Hi, guys. So nice. You guys are so colorful. You're fulfilling every Hawaiian stereotype. I love it. And last but not least, we've got Miss Erickson's grade 4s in Stafford Springs in Connecticut. Welcome in. Right. Hey, with their polar bear hats that are so loud, they're breaking our mic. So the reason you guys are all here today is for our speakers. So we are joined live at the Toronto Zoo, Canada's preeminent zoo, a really fantastic facility close to my own home here in Toronto. And today they're going to take us on a little tour of their polar bear exhibit. They're going to highlight some polar bear training. How do you go about training polar bears? I have no idea, but we're going to learn together. So right now, Mike is behind the camera, and we are waiting on Courtney and Amy, the polar bear keepers, who are going to come and explain a little bit about what they get to do, about the polar bears and their personalities there at the zoo. I'm so excited to dive in. And so without further ado, let's turn it over to Mike at the zoo and see what's going on. Hey, Mike.
Hi, everyone. We are just getting ready. The girls are coming over right now, and they will be giving you guys the presentation on polar bears.
Fantastic. So, Mike, while we're waiting for them, this is a special part of your zoo, I understand, a whole section dedicated to Arctic animals. Can you tell us a little about that?
Sure. So this is our tundra trek area. This is the part of the zoo where you can see animals all over from the tundra. So that includes the polar bears, our caribou, snowy owl, Arctic foxes, Arctic wolves. And yeah, you are more than welcome to come and enjoy their company because they are really active at this time of year.
Yeah, fantastic. Now the zoo is huge. You guys have tons of animals there at the whole zoo in total. Could you tell us a little bit about that before we dive into how polar bears are walking over?
For sure. So we have over 5,000 animals at our zoo and about 450,000 different species. So we are one of North America's largest zoos, and we have a really big collection. So there's always something to see here.
Fantastic. Looks like some exciting stuff's going on. Oh,
and yeah, as you could see, the keepers are getting ready. This is Amy.
Hi, Amy.
And Courtney is over there.
Perfect.
So, are you guys ready to start your presentation? Sure. So we're gonna go up on the booth, and the keepers are gonna give you guys the presentation.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Mike.
All right. Are you guys, do you want to do this, or would you prefer to do, like, hold the selfie stick?
I think you can hold it. We're good. Is it an okay angle, or do you need us to?
Yeah, I think it's a good angle. Yeah, I won't be able to see the bears. Here, hold on.
Here. A little selfie.
Okay.
Perfect.
So I'm gonna hand off the camera. Here you are.
How do we do this?
Thanks, Mike.
All right.
So you just have to.
How do I?
That's
flip
on
it?
me. Oops. Let's flip the camera. There you guys are.
Hey, ladies.
All right. Hi, guys. Bear with us. We don't do a whole lot of selfies here. Bear with us. All right. There we go. We got some bears in the background. We got us. That works. All right. Go for it. Like I said, I'm
Amy Courtney. I've worked with the Bears since 2014. Courtney's been on and off with us for a couple of years, but she's here now permanently since January, so we're excited. We have 5 polar bears here at the Toronto Zoo currently. The 2 bears behind us are Hudson and Humphrey. There are 2 males. And Hudson's the one you can see right now. He's the older one, he's 8. And Humphrey is 6, he's his little brother. The other bears we have is their little sister Juno, who's 4 years old. She's in the back grass exhibit.
Can't see her
right now. And we also have Aurora and Nikita. They are twin sister 19-year-old bears. Aurora is the mother of all of our younger bears. And you'll be meeting Nikita shortly up close. We're going to do a training session with her. So we do lots of training with our bears every day. They basically get to voluntarily participate in their own health care. So just like you guys all go to the doctors, we have special doctors that work here at the zoo. And anytime there's anything wrong with our bears, we can get the vets to come in and look at them. So the bears are trained to present different body parts. So they will show us the pads of their feet, their nails, they'll open up their mouths. We can make sure their teeth and their gum and tongues are nice and healthy. We can even give them injections. So just like you guys all need your needles at home when you go to the doctors, polar bears also need their vaccines. And they'll actually come over and let us give them their needle, and we'll just give them a really good treat. We can even take blood from them as well. So if we ever need to check make sure they're nice and healthy, we can do that. So we'll be showing you guys some of those behaviors.
Yeah.
Add some stuff.
Yeah, so right now, I'm not sure if you can see our bears. Let's see if I can get a good angle at them. That one's Hudson. He's got the biggest head out of all of them. That's how we tell them apart. Humphrey, he just wandered over to the far side. Maybe we'll get a look at him later. He's covered in blue paint right now. It's International Polar Bear Day, right? So this morning they got some icebergs that had some fun messages written on them, and so they rubbed all the paint off them. So now our bears are a funny color today, but they really like it. These guys are really, really cool. They're really fun to work with. It's kind of like giant dogs when you give them toys. They play with all their toys, just like your dog at home would. Only their toys are a lot bigger and a lot tougher, and we don't play fetch quite the same way. We put the toys out, and they go out after us. But yeah, do you guys want to see a polar bear up close?
I think we sure do.
Excellent. All right, let's head that way. I'll pass it back to Mike.
We are just gonna flip the camera around. Hi, everyone. All right, let's follow the keepers.
As you can see, for all our classes, it's been quite the snowy day here in Toronto, so it's perfect polar bear weather. Fantastic.
Bring you guys into our special behind the scenes area. Not a lot of people get to come back here.
Fantastic. While you're walking too, quick shout out. We've got over 8 classrooms tuning in from around Canada and the States, so welcome in. On YouTube.
This is Nikita. She is our older female polar bear. And we're going to show you some of the things that our fun polar bears know how to do.
Yeah. So I'll explain. Since polar bears don't speak English like we do need a way of communicating with them. So we actually use a whistle, to communicate them. So basically they learn that when we blow the whistle, what they're doing at that exact moment is what we want them to do. So it's our way of communicating with them. So if we say open their mouth, they open their mouth, we blow the whistle, and they know what they're doing at that moment is correct, and they'll be getting a treat. So the treat today is we got some herring pieces and some seal oil. So that's actually what polar bears eat most in the wild is seals. So we actually have some seal oil to give them. So while I train her, I guess Courtney can answer some questions or explain what we're doing.
Yeah.
Swear word, right?
Yeah, cool.
And in the back corner, you can still see me. So like we said before, Nikita is our soon-to-be 20-year-old female. And we'll see how tall she is. Maybe asking her to stand up. So not only is this great exercise for our bear, she gets to stand up, use some muscles, but also gives us a really good look at her belly, so and her paws. So if she's got a cut, or if we want to check out her fur, or make sure she's nice and fluffy and warm enough, that's a really good way that we can get a look at her entire body to make sure she's nice and healthy. There, she's showing off her pearly teeth. They're very pretty. So that way we can make sure all of her teeth are nice and healthy. If she needs to see our dentist, shows her what her tongue looks like, make sure everything in there is working the way it's supposed to. And then just like you guys ask your dogs to lie down at home, we can ask our bears to lie down. This is really helpful for us if we want to do other behaviors. So if we want to take blood, we take it from their paws. And so we're getting them to lie down. It makes it really easy for us to work with them.
Fantastic.
Now she's trying to roll over. The snow's a little thick, so it might be a little hard for her to get all the way over. Keep trying. Almost, Nikita.
You can do it.
Rollover is more of a fun behavior. It lets us look at all of her belly too, but more so it's fun. It's something that she started to give us when we'd ask for other behaviors. And so instead of just ignoring it and pretending it'll go away, we said, you know what? Let's use this. Let's put it on a cue. And now instead of offering it to us randomly where we don't want it, we can actually ask for it and she'll give it to us on command, which is really neat. It's a really cool thing to do. There you go. That's a good rollover.
We also use it. We have a training crate that we can train the bears. We train the bears in, and the crate has a hole in the back. So if we ask them to roll over, they can stick their back paws through and take blood from their back paws. And we also have a port in the house that we can take blood from their front paws.
Station. So what Amy just asked for was a station behavior, which that little black square that's on our wall there, she knows that Nikita knows she has to go and put her nose to it in order to get her treat. It just helps us send them around in areas, especially say we want to keep one bear in one place and we have our sister go by. We can ask her to station, give her a treat for staying there, and her sister can walk by and go to her own place to get her treat.
One thing polar bears do in the wild is they pounce on the ice to break the ice to catch seals underneath. So we'll show you how they do that. Nikita can do that on cue.
Cool. So we're going to get a little demonstration of how polar bears would naturally hunt for seals.
Now, so what a polar bear is going to do in the wild is they are going to wait till that sea ice gets nice and thick. They're going to go out and unless there's already a hole made in the ice, they're going to make their own. So that pounce behavior means they can break through that ice, create a nice air hole, and there's going to be a seal somewhere swimming along that's looking for a breath of air. See that nice hole, come up, get that breath of air, and that's perfect for our polar bears because they can reach one of those big paws in. She's showing them off pretty nicely right now to you guys. And fish that seal out and then eat it. And the favorite thing for them to eat once they get that seal out is the blubber layer, or the fat layer of the seal. It's really rich, it's got lots of nutrients, it's got all the good stuff that they need to survive, it has the most calories for them. And when they live up in the cold, they need as many calories as they can to stay nice and warm and healthy.
Quick question on that, Mike, and maybe you can pass this along if they can't hear us. But it must be a really powerful animal to push a big hole through the sea ice. How big do polar bears get? How much do they weigh?
So that's a great question. So Nikita here weighs about 325 kilos, which in terms of pounds, that's just close to about 700 pounds. And she's a good sized female polar bear. Our male polar bears, Hudson and Humphrey, they weigh about 450 kilos, so over 900 pounds. But they're still small. A really, really beefy male polar bear in the height of winter when he's at his prime can weigh about 1,500 pounds, which is nice and big and nice and heavy, just about as heavy as you need to break the ice. But they can put so much force behind that pounce that it's pretty easy for them to crack it, especially if they do it over and over and over again. They're pretty persistent.
Amazing. And so just by comparison, for some of our younger classes today, that's like the entire weight of all the kids in your class put together is one bear. So these are huge animals.
Oh yeah, that's probably maybe even two of them if you're getting closer to those bigger polar bears up top. So
Fantastic. So I don't know if you had any other special things to show us, but if not, we can dive in with questions. And then as you're doing the training in the background, we can ask and get you guys questions from our classes live and on YouTube. Does that sound good?
That sounds great. They're saying if we can keep showing them things, or they can start asking questions while you finish training too, and do a little bit of everything. All right, yeah, we'll let Nikita kind of take a break, and if you guys want to ask some questions, we can answer them.
Awesome. So in addition to all our live classes, and our 7th one just joined us, so hello, Ms. Gonzalez, and welcome in. We've got 8, 9, 10, 12, 8 groups that have identified themselves on YouTube from Illinois, Montana, Kansas, Ontario, and more. So please do type in questions in the chat bar, and we'll take as many as we can. But let's get underway by going to Miss Langer's class. If you guys want to kick us off with a question, come on up.
Hello, my name is Colton. Are polar bears the strongest bears?
Yeah.
Polar bears the strongest bears? That's a great question.
Polar bears are the biggest bear species. We get asked that all the time, if who would win, a grizzly bear or a polar bear for a fight.
Might depend on the motivation. They're pretty evenly matched. Grizzly bears, they have different strengths. So a polar bear is really good at pouncing on ice, but a grizzly bear has really good claws. So depending on what they're using, it kind of depends where their strengths go.
Yeah.
I find the grizzly bears are more destructive than the polar bears. So they use a lot of their strength. So I guess, yeah.
It's a good question.
Polar
Good
bears
answer.
Polar bears definitely do more hunting than grizzly bears do. Bigger
I think
animals.
so. I think today we'll give it to the polar bears because we're right in front of them. We don't want to
we'll
embarrass them.
we'll give it to polar bears.
Yeah. Perfect. Let's head to Miss Teason's class at the BC. If you guys have a question, come on up. Yeah.
How do polar bears survive in Toronto because their normal home is colder?
Yeah.
So 60% of polar bears are from Canada, and there's actually polar bears that live right here in Ontario. So all 5 of our polar bears are from the southern Hudson's Bay population, which is here in Ontario. So they naturally have to adapt to all 4 seasons. It does get quite warm where they're from. It can reach temperatures up to 29 degrees Celsius, which is kind of similar to here in Toronto. So this is kind of their natural habitat somewhat. So they actually do really well here. The way they adapt in the wild to the warmer weather is they do lose their winter coat, similar to your dogs and cats at home, but they also lose a lot of that thick 4-inch fat layer that they have. And that's because they go on a little bit of a fast during the summer months. So they lose a lot of that fat layer. They get a lot thinner, and that summer diet helps them stay a little bit more cooler in the summer.
Very cool. So just like you guys at home, when it's winter, you put on thicker layers, and when it's summer, you take off your big coat. Polar bears do the equivalent of that. Fantastic.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
we try to mimic that natural diet as much as possible, so they do that natural fluctuation in weight.
Excellent. All right. I have to head to Miss Erickson's class. There's a student waiting with a polar bear hat, and I love it. So Miss Erickson's group, come on up.
How do you get the bears?
How do you get the bears? Yeah.
So Aurora and Nikita are 2 older females. They came as orphan cubs. They were found in the wild at the age of 4 months. I believe their mother was hunted by accident. They didn't know she was a mother with cubs. And then our other 3 bears are all offspring of Aurora. So Humphrey and Hudson are her 2 sons, and Juno is her daughter. So they're born here.
Yeah, I always love when we get questions of how zoos get animals. It's something really close to the kids' heart. So the great question, great answer, guys. Thanks so much. All right, I'm going to take a quick YouTube question from Miss Wisniewski's class, kindergartners joining us in Oshawa, and they wanted to ask, a student from Jamaica wants to know, how can they swim in the ice water? Isn't it too cold?
Pardon?
How
How
can
do
you swim in the ice
Well,
water?
one way, if you guys ever want to do a fun experiment, sometimes what we do in class, if you get a Ziploc bag and fill it with like lard or butter, and you get 2 of them, and you put them on either side of your hand and stick your hand in ice cold water, that's basically what a polar bear has. They have such a thick fat layer. So if you ever tried that as a school experiment, you can see how the polar bear feels the cold, and that fat layer is so insulating for them that when they're in the water, they don't actually feel it. And when they come out of the water, all the ice freezes to their fur, and And that's when the polar bears start rolling around in the snow and on the ground. And that knocks off all the ice crystals from their fur and it helps keep them dry.
Great answer. Super cool.
You're the being annoying. I'll be right back.
Take your time. While you're doing that, Miss Belcade, if you guys have a question, come on up.
Are they allowed to go in the like beyond the cage?
Yeah. Do the polar bears ever leave their enclosure?
They don't leave their enclosure, but we are very lucky here at the Toronto Zoo that our bears have 3 very different and large exhibits. So we have our maternity exhibit, which is the one behind us. There's the main pool exhibit where the big pool is. And we have our very large grass exhibit. So we can rotate them from exhibit to exhibit. And they don't have a cage exactly. We do have the polar bear house that has 6 different rooms inside it. And we do give them access to it, obviously when we're not cleaning. But we give access to it during the day. So if they choose to go inside, they do have that choice, or they can go in their exhibit. And then we rotate them around throughout the day so that they're always in the same exhibit.
Fantastic. So just like you give them interesting things to do, different habitats that they can explore, keeps it interesting and keeps life exciting.
Yeah, every day we give them something new. So we call it enrichment. So every day we either give them new smells, like we'll use perfume and cologne and different spices, different scents, or we can give them different toys, give them different food items, present their food differently. So every day we try to do something different for them so that it's not always the same stuff.
Amazing. Awesome, ladies. All right, let's go to Miss Gary's class. If you guys have a question, come on up.
How long do cubs stay with their mom?
Yeah.
They usually stay with their mom for 2 years. That's usually when they start getting weaned off and start going off on their own.
Yeah, fantastic. Imagine if you guys had to leave mom at 2 years old and fend for yourselves. It's not that easy. Humans are spoiled. We have a long time. That was a quick question. All right, Miss Calicolio's class, if you guys want to come up, go for it.
All right.
How much yields are left?
Here, talk to him.
How much yields are left in the wild for the polar bears to eat and survive?
Yeah.
How much polar bears are left in the wild?
How many polar bears are left in the wild? Was that?
Yeah.
So there's only about 26,000 polar bears left in the wild, which isn't a whole lot. It's a pretty big number what it sounds like, but when you think of how much room there is out there for them, it's not too many. So we're trying to do all the things we can to help our polar bears out so we can help their populations and help them kind of get bigger numbers out there and help to keep them growing.
And so polar bears are considered threatened. So even though there is still 26,000, if all of a sudden the sea ice were to be gone, their number would go down drastically because they really need the sea ice to hunt. They can't hunt without that ice. So that's why polar bear awareness about the sea ice is very important.
Yeah, climate change. Polar bears are classically one of the creatures that will most be affected by climate change based on how they hunt. So it's something that, even though 26,000 again sounds big, it's something that we really want to keep an eye on and help preserve them. Fantastic, ladies. All right, Miss Vitito's class, 6th through 8th in Augusta in Kansas, wanted to ask, how much do your polar bears eat in a day?
So it really varies depending on the season. Like I was mentioned earlier, we do try to mimic that natural diet. But currently we're trying to get our bears nice and chunky because it is winter. So I think the boys are getting 8 kilos of meat a day.
Yeah, so about 16 pounds of meat for the polar bears, plus they're getting 2.5 kilos or about 5 pounds of fish. And then they get about 500 grams, so about a pound of, it's actually a dog food, but it's really, really good quality fish dog food. And then the seal oil that Amy was training with earlier, they're getting 2 cups of that a day. And I think that's it right now.
Vegetables too. Fruit and vegetables as well.
That's
so they are considered omnivores because they eat meat and vegetables.
That's one of the great marketing things of all time. We should tell the dog food company, good enough for polar bears. We should send them a message.
Exactly.
It's Origin. So that
Okay.
for your dogs at home.
Perfect, trademark. All right, Miss Gonzalez's class joined us and Pelham grade 1s. So if you guys want to come up for a question, your mic should work. Let's see if we can hear you guys. Come on down. Hi there. Hi. Oh, your mic isn't working for some reason. I don't know why. So Miss Fidel's play with that. While you're doing that, I'll take your first question, but you did type in one on YouTube, and I'm sorry about that. Is their fur waterproof?
Is their fur waterproof?
Yeah.
So their fur does have a waxy coating to it, which does prevent water from reaching their skin. And it's pretty dense, and it's a 2-layer coat. So they got a very dense undercoat. So it's kind of waterproof.
Yeah.
It keeps them pretty dry.
Yeah.
So we'll try and get Ms. Gonzalez's group mic working in a bit, and I'm sorry for that, guys, but we will come back to you. But right now we're flipping through these, so you know what? Let's take a peek at the polar bear behind you, see what's going on with them, and then we'll take another round of questions. Oh, hiding away somewhere.
He's digging in the snow.
That's what I would do. Hi there, darling. It's still Nikita?
How we feed our seal oil. We use a nice big syringe. Otherwise, it's pretty messy. It's really liquidy. And then usually we ask them for a behavior first. I have to dig out my whistle underneath all my layers. Somewhere it's under here. Hold on. There it is. So we can ask them to do something, and then once they do it, we give them their treat. And if I'm not fast enough, she'll start offering behavior. Yeah. Now we can just feed it to them nice and slowly, and they lick it up. They really, really like this stuff. It's kind of like candy stuff. It's their absolute favorite treat.
Fantastic. And how does it smell? You said seal oil. Doesn't sound very pleasant for us.
It's kind of like the same consistency of like olive oil.
Okay. Very cool. Well, thank you so much for that.
It's like melted peanut butter for them. I'm sure you guys all like melted peanut butter.
So we're going to eat the moment we're done the session. All right, let's dive back in with questions while we are bottle feeding our bear. Miss Langer's class, if you guys want to come up, and I'm going to take 2 from you guys because I know you have your whole school there today, so we'll take 2 in a row for Miss Langer's group. Yep, you're good to go.
Hi, my name is Charlotte. I was wondering, do polar bears hibernate?
Yeah.
So they don't actually hibernate like a brown bear, grizzly bear does, but they do kind of lower their metabolism and their diet, but they actually do it opposite. So a grizzly bear will get really, really chunky in the fall and live off their fat reserves while they sleep all winter. Polar bears will get really, really chunky in the winter, and they will live off their fat reserve in the summer when there's no sea ice for them to hunt. So polar bears, that's how important the sea ice is for them. They need that sea ice to hunt, and when there's no sea ice, they don't hunt. So they basically lie around and wait for that sea ice to refreeze. They will eat whatever they can, but it's very much limited to whatever they can find. They don't want to use up too much energy. They wouldn't hunt a caribou down or anything like that because it would cost them too much energy. But they do eat like grass, seaweed, and like berries and stuff to keep them kind of full. But it's basically a fasting period for them and a slow down period. So it's kind of like a hibernation, but they don't go to sleep or go in a den.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, let's head back to Ms. Langer's class for one more. We'll go to our group of class.
Hello, my name is Madison. I have a question.
Yeah.
What is the biggest threat in the wild for polar bears?
Great question.
So that's a great question. Is climate change. So I'm not sure, you guys are pretty young, so you probably haven't noticed a real difference for you guys, but we're a bit older and we have. So every winter it's not getting as cold as it used to get. We don't get as much snow. It's not so much fun anymore. Usually it's pretty warm all winter long. Now what that means for our bears, if it's not getting cold, that ice isn't getting nice and thick for them. And we told you guys earlier, they're really, really heavy, which means that has to be nice, thick ice for them to be able to go out and hunt. So if it doesn't get enough cold for them, that ice doesn't get thick enough, they can't eat, which means come summertime, they're actually going to be hungry a little bit earlier when there's still no ice to eat. So that means they're starting to not be able to survive quite as well as they want because they don't have that fat layer that they need. It also means if they're going to have babies, a little bit harder for them to have babies because they can't hunt while they're taking care of their cubs. They kind of only have to do one thing at a time. So they want to be nice and fat so they can make sure that their cubs survive to be big enough to go out and learn how to hunt and learn how to be polar bears.
Yeah, fantastic, ladies. All right, let's head to Surrey. Miss Thiessen's class. If you guys have a question, go for it.
How do you tell them apart?
Yeah. How do you tell your bears apart?
Well, I think the hardest, Humphrey and Hudson look very different. Hudson has a big square head and Humphrey has more of a pointed head. But the twin sisters, the two girls, they look almost identical, but they actually have different colored tongues. So Nikita has a black tongue and Aurora has a pink tongue. And because we check their mouth and teeth every day, we can actually see that.
Maybe we can do a close-up on it if you want to ask for the open and I can steal the camera.
I can show you her tongue.
Let's see if we can make this work.
How cool.
Open. She's checking out the phone.
She goes, you guys smell funny.
Here, maybe we just give her some oil. You can see her tongue. See her tongue black?
Amazing.
Aurora also has a mole on the side of her eye. So that's another way we can tell them when they're a little bit further apart. And depending on the time of year and what their fur coat is, they look a little bit different. But certain times of the year when they're really, really fluffy, they look almost identical.
Fantastic. I think we should keep the camera here. This is great. Miss Bellin's class for Bradford, Ontario on YouTube wants to know, how old do polar bears get?
So in the wild, they usually live to be about 15 years old. But under human care, they usually live to be about 20 to 30. And that's because they don't have to worry about hunting and not getting enough fat reserves. And they have excellent vet care.
Yeah, great answer. All right, that was a quick one. So one more quick YouTube class. Miss Cheryl's group, kindergartners in Montana, wanted to know, do polar bears sleep very well? How much do they sleep? Oh, let's see if we get you guys back. Sometimes when you're bringing sessions from outdoors, it cuts out for a quick second. So Mike and Courtney and Amy, if you guys can still hear me, it's not right on right now, but let's see if we can get you guys back and keep going with this. But how cool is that? We got to see a polar bear tongue. I've never seen a polar bear tongue. That's the first for me, for sure. All right. And all right. So while we're trying to get them back in, I'll send them a quick message in a minute on email as well. Another quick note, if you guys are super keen on polar bears, and you obviously are, we've had some great questions so far, do check out our polar bear research session that we did about a week ago, live from Denmark, with a scientist that's gone all over the Arctic to study polar bears in the wild, tranquilizing them from helicopters and checking them out in the field. So we'll hopefully get you guys, I'll send that link when we're done to all our classes and something you guys can check out. Let me just send a quick message to our zoo team, see if we can get them back. Maybe they got a little too close to the polar bear. And we cut out for a second. But yes, I'm going to go through another round of questions. We got another 10 minutes to go once we get them back. And we'll be good. Give me 2 quick seconds, okay? All right. Sorry for the trouble, guys. Again, sometimes when you're bringing stuff from outside, that's a little bit of a technical difficulty. Quick note on the zoo. I know we have a few classes that are Ontario, certainly tuning in on YouTube, so you guys can head to the Toronto Zoo. Some really fantastic programs and other animals there. But in general, if you guys get a chance to go to a zoo in your lives and see whether it's polar bears or tigers or other fantastic animals, you really should. Look for something called the Canadian Association of Zoos and Aquariums, or the Association of Zoos and Aquariums symbol. So AZA or CAZA. And what that means for zoos and aquariums is that they're been sort of confirmed to be a fantastic facility for animals. Sometimes roadside zoos, smaller zoos are troublesome and don't take quite as good care of their animals as something like the Toronto Zoo would. But if you see those symbols, that means that they've been vetted and that they're fantastic and they do really cool work for wildlife. Let me just get them one more message. We'll see if we can get them back in. I'm sorry for the trouble, everyone. But yes, appreciate all our groups tuning in on YouTube as well. And if you didn't catch our Toronto Zoo session earlier this month, where they highlighted some of the conservation programs generally that they do, I'll send that link along as well. Just a great way to keep the learning going with a new partner of ours that's doing some really, really exciting stuff. I'm going to disappear for 2 seconds. I'll be right back. And hopefully we'll get them back for our last 5-10 minutes or so. We will go a little bit long in case we want to make sure we get everyone's questions in. So give me 2 seconds. I'll be right back. Right, so I sent them another quick message and we'll go from there. Sorry, guys. I do really appreciate all the fantastic work you guys have done to prep for this today. Between the bear hats and joining from all over Canada and the States, it's been one of our most popular sessions. Again, we had about 45 signups for 7 spots. So do look for more Toronto Zoo sessions in the coming months and weeks too. We're going to wait about 3 more minutes, see if we can get them back in. And if we can't, then we'll wrap it up there. And we got a bunch of really good questions in. I'll pass along the YouTube link, but I'm going to hope for the best. We're going to see how it goes. There might also be the opportunity to send some questions to me via email that I can share with the Toronto Zoo team and get some answers back to you as well. So worst case scenario, we can follow up with that and make sure you guys get all your remaining questions in. Right. Let's see.
Jesse?
Yes. Hi, Gary Lee.
Langer, I am going to text Elisa and see if she can contact them directly.
Perfect. And I've emailed the team at the zoo, so we'll see how it goes. We'll hopefully get them back in. What I might do in a minute is stop the live broadcast and then just keep it around for classes as they come back in the next few minutes. But I appreciate the help. It's fantastic. What are we getting on YouTube as well? Yeah, for YouTube classes too. So I know we've had a bunch of groups that are typing in questions, which is fantastic. But if you're a YouTube class that identified yourself, you can always type in a bunch of questions. Please do that for this session, for any others. Just a great way to be engaged if you're otherwise not able to take part live on screen. So I'm checking multiple emails here. What I'm going to do for our groups watching YouTube is I'm going to end the broadcast there just in case they don't manage to come back. So we'll stop going live, but we'll stick around with our classes that are live and see if we can get them back in the next minute or so, okay? So for our YouTube groups, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm sorry that it had to cut out, but I hope you guys had a fantastic time for our first 35 minutes or so. So most of the session got in, but for now, have a wonderful rest of your day and we'll see you.